Elias Ward had always loved exploring. As a human from Earth, he had seen enough of the stars in pictures and simulations to know he wanted to see them for himself. So when the chance came to travel to the uncharted planet Althera, he did not hesitate. Althera was known to be lush, filled with strange plants, glowing rivers, and a peaceful alien species called the Ayalari. Humans had little contact with them, but scouts had confirmed that the Ayalari were intelligent and friendly. Elias's mission was simple: explore, observe, and report back. Simple, at least, until the lake. The sun had barely risen over the horizon, spilling golden light across the valley, when Elias stumbled into the clearing. His boots sank slightly into the soft, mossy ground as he approached a serene, crystalline lake. The water reflected the rising sun in a dance of colors he had never seen before. There were hints of blue and green that shifted and shimmered, almost like liquid gemstones. Elias had his camera ready to capture it all. He had expected alien plants, strange rocks, maybe even some creatures, but not this. On the far side of the lake, moving gracefully in the shimmering water, was a figure. Elias froze. She was tall, her skin the color of pale moonlight, and her hair shimmered like silver threads. She moved with a kind of fluid elegance that made the water seem alive. From his vantage point, Elias realized she was performing some kind of ritual, pouring sparkling water over herself, turning slowly as if communicating with the lake itself. Elias's mind raced. I shouldn't be here. This is private. I need to leave. But curiosity rooted him to the spot. He didn't mean to intrude, yet something about the scene made it impossible to look away. The alien's eyes were closed, her expression calm and focused, entirely unaware of him. Then, as he fumbled to retreat, a branch snapped under his foot. The sound echoed across the lake. The figure's eyes snapped open, wide and startled, like a deer caught in a sudden storm. Elias stumbled backward, tripping over a rock, crashing to the ground. He could feel his face turning red. He was sure she had seen him clearly now. From the trees, movement appeared. Figures stepped out, guards of some kind, tall and imposing, their skin a different shade, their eyes sharp. They approached silently, but there was no anger in their movement, only precision. Elias raised his hands. I didn't mean to. I was just exploring. His voice cracked. The alien woman, now fully clothed in a flowing robe of shimmering fabric, approached. She was calm, but there was a hint of something serious in her expression. You have seen me during the sacred water ceremony, she said in perfect English, or at least in a version he could understand through his universal translator. Her voice was smooth, musical, and commanding. Elias swallowed. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was private. I didn't mean to. She raised a hand. In our culture, witnessing the sacred bath creates a spiritual bond. By law, the one who sees must take responsibility. The bond is called a unity pact. Elias blinked. Unity what? The guard stepped closer, encircling him without touching. A unity pact, the woman repeated. By seeing the ritual, you are now linked to me. According to the sacred law, we must perform the ceremonies of bonding. In your language, it would be called marriage. Elias's mind went blank. He had trained for first contact protocols, for peaceful exploration, for diplomacy, but never for this. Wait, I don't even know you. I didn't agree to anything. You saw me, she said simply. The law does not require consent before witnessing. Only after the pact begins can choice be expressed. The guards gave him no room to argue. Elias tried to step back, but the nearest trees were thick, the ground slippery from the morning dew. He was caught, not violently, but firmly. He realized that resistance would not help. Okay, he said, his voice trembling. Then, what now? What happens next? She studied him for a moment. First, you will meet the elders. They will explain the law, the history, and the necessary steps to begin the unity trials. These trials will determine whether you can complete the bond or find a safe way to dissolve it. Elias swallowed hard. Trials? Yes, she said. They are not meant to harm, but to test your spirit, your heart, and your understanding of our culture. You will be watched closely. Do not try to run. The laws of Althera protect both of us. He looked around. The lake glowed. The trees sparkled in the morning sun, and the alien woman regarded him patiently, like a teacher waiting for a student to understand a difficult lesson. Elias realized this was more than a simple misunderstanding. His first day on Althera had become something out of a nightmare, or a story he would never forget. The journey to the Elder Hall was long and quiet. Elias followed the woman, whose name he finally learned was Soraya, through winding paths over moss-covered stones. The forest was alive with color and sound, leaves that glimmered, birds with translucent wings, and flowers that pulsed faintly like breathing. It was beautiful, but Elias couldn't enjoy it. His mind raced with questions. How will I get out of this? Will I survive the Unity trials? Can humans even understand this culture? When they arrived at the Elder Hall, it was a sight to behold. Towers of crystal rose into the sky, reflecting sunlight in dozens of directions. The building seemed alive, almost as if the walls themselves were breathing. Inside, the elders waited, 6 figures, seated on floating platforms, eyes glowing softly. Each radiated calm authority. Elias Ward, said the tallest elder, voice deep and echoing, you have violated no ill intent, yet the sacred bond has been activated. You are here to learn our ways and participate in the unity trials. I didn't mean to, Elias began, but the elder raised a hand. You will speak later. First, you will understand. The elder waved, and a series of images appeared in the air, stories of past humans, past Ilari, and previous witnesses of the sacred baths. Each image showed misunderstandings, adventures, and resolutions, some humorous, some dangerous, all demonstrating the importance of respect and learning. Soraya stepped closer to Elias. Do not fear. The trials are not meant to harm, but they are meant to teach. You will learn about me, about my people, and about yourself. Only then can the bond be completed or safely dissolved. Elias looked around. The elder's glowing eyes and the floating crystal chambers made him dizzy. What have I gotten myself into, he thought. But a small part of him, perhaps the explorer, the adventurer, felt a spark of excitement. I am the first human to witness this ceremony. I am the first to be part of this sacred law. This could be historic. Are you ready? Soraya asked, her voice calm but probing. Elias swallowed and nodded, even though he didn't feel ready at all. I guess I have no choice, he admitted. Soraya gave a small smile, almost imperceptible, but it was there. Then let us begin. The first trial is simple. Understanding. You must observe and learn our ways before any action can be taken. You will live as one of us for 3 days. You will eat our food, follow our customs, and participate in the daily rituals. No exceptions. Elias's stomach twisted. 3 days. Living with you? Yes, Soraya said. And you may not leave the Elder Hall grounds. The forest is sacred, and outsiders may not wander freely. As the day progressed, Elias tried to adjust. He watched as Soraya performed her morning rituals, cleaned and organized her living space with a grace he had never seen, and communicated silently with the glowing plants and crystal walls. Everything had purpose. Everything had meaning. By nightfall, Elias was exhausted, mentally and physically. The trials had not even begun, and he already felt like he had learned more about patience, respect, and observation than he ever had in his life. Yet, as he lay on a simple mat provided by Soraya, he realized something important. The bond was not just about law. It was about trust, understanding, and the connection between two beings from very different worlds. He closed his eyes, the glow of the lake and the elders' crystal halls still in his mind, and whispered softly, "I hope I can do this right." And with that, part 1 ended. A human caught in an alien law, a misunderstanding that could lead to adventure, danger, or even friendship. Elias had entered a world far more complex than he had imagined. The journey had begun, and there was no turning back. The morning sun spilled golden light across the crystal towers of the Elder Hall. Elias awoke to the soft hum of the building itself, a quiet vibration that seemed to resonate with the forest outside. Today was the first day of the Unity trials. He had no idea what to expect, and that made him both nervous and strangely excited. Soraya was already awake, moving gracefully through the hall. She carried a bowl of shimmering liquid and some strange, fragrant herbs. The air was filled with the smell of minerals and something sweet, like honey mixed with flowers. She noticed Elias sitting up on his simple mat and smiled. "Good morning," she said. "Are you ready for the first trial?" Elias rubbed his eyes. "I think so. Maybe. I don't even know what the trial is about." "The first trial is observation," she explained. "You must understand how we interact with the world around us. Watch carefully, then replicate what you see. Accuracy is important, but so is intention." Elias nodded nervously. "Okay, I'll try." Soraya handed him a small bowl. It was filled with glowing liquid, similar to what she had carried earlier. "Drink. It is safe. It will help you perceive the energies of the forest." Elias hesitated for a moment, then drank. The liquid was sweet and refreshing, warming him from the inside out. He blinked and suddenly noticed things he hadn't before. The faint hum of the crystals, the subtle movements of light across the leaves, the tiny energy threads linking plants to one another. The forest was alive in a way he had never imagined. "Now follow me," Soraya said. She led him outside to a section of the forest that glowed faintly in soft blue light. Small animals with translucent wings moved around them, and the ground pulsed gently under their feet. "The first task is to gather the harmony crystals," Soraya explained. "These crystals respond only to those who respect the forest. If you are careless, they will hide or vanish." Elias looked around. The crystals were small, no bigger than his fist, and shimmered with colors that shifted constantly. He reached for one, and it slipped from his fingers. It rolled a short distance and disappeared into the ground. Soraya watched silently. "Try to understand it, not just touch it. The forest communicates if you listen." Elias took a deep breath and slowed down. He crouched, feeling the pulse of the ground, noticing the rhythm of the leaves, the movement of the air. Slowly, a small crystal emerged from the earth and floated gently into his hand. His heart raced. I got one," he whispered. Soraya nodded approvingly. "Well done. You see, the forest responds to intention, not force. This is the lesson of the first trial, observation and patience." The second task came later in the day. Soraya led Elias to a shallow stream where glowing fish swam in patterns that created ever-changing symbols in the water. "Now, you must work together with me," she explained. "The trial is not just about understanding the world, it is about understanding each other. We must guide the fish to form a pattern representing unity." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Guide fish with our minds?" "Not exactly. With gestures, timing, and cooperation. Watch and mirror me." For the next hour, Elias stumbled and fumbled. He waved his hands too early, too late, or in the wrong direction. The fish scattered. Soraya moved with grace and precision, her gestures slow and deliberate. Elias tried to mimic her, but he often got it wrong. "Patience," Soraya said softly. "Unity is not achieved by force. Watch, then move with the rhythm, not against it." Elias closed his eyes and focused. He let go of his fear of failing. Slowly, he began to notice the patterns, the way Soraya's gestures created gentle waves in the water. He moved with her, not just copying, but anticipating. The fish responded. Light shimmered across the stream, forming a simple symbol, a circle surrounded by tiny stars. "You did it," Soraya said. "Not alone, but with me. That is the lesson of the second trial, cooperation." Elias smiled, exhausted but proud. He felt a strange connection with Soraya now. Not friendship exactly, but something like respect, trust even. The third trial was the most challenging. They were taken to a cavern deep beneath the Elder Hall. The walls glowed faintly, showing strange patterns of light that shifted as they moved. "You must navigate this cavern together," Soraya explained. "It is filled with puzzles and traps. Each of us has strengths you do not yet know. You must rely on each other." Elias glanced around nervously. "Puzzles? Traps? Are we in danger?" "Only danger from mistakes," she said calmly. "If you fail, the cavern will reset. You cannot leave until you succeed." The cavern was filled with floating stones, moving platforms, and luminous symbols etched into the walls. Elias tried to jump across one platform, but it shifted under his weight, sending him stumbling. Soraya caught his arm, steadying him. "Use your human strength," she said. "I will guide you." They moved slowly, carefully, communicating with gestures and whispers. Sometimes Elias had to lift a heavy stone. Sometimes Soraya needed him to watch her movements so she could unlock a symbol in the wall. Slowly, step by step, they progressed deeper into the cavern. At one point, a puzzle blocked their path. Symbols glowed on the walls, shifting randomly. Elias had no idea what to do. Soraya touched his hand. "Focus. Listen, the cavern responds to both of us." Elias closed his eyes and felt for the rhythm of the light, the pulse of the cavern. Slowly, he began to sense patterns. He pointed and moved his hands in sequence. Soraya followed, adding her gestures. The symbols responded, glowing steadily. A hidden door opened. "We made it," Elias whispered, relief flooding through him. Soraya smiled. "Yes, together. This is the essence of the third trial. Trust and balance. Each of us has skills the other lacks. Alone, we may fail. Together, we succeed." By the time they exited the cavern, night had fallen. The sky above Elder Hall glimmered with stars, more brilliant than any Elias had ever seen. He was tired, sore, and exhilarated. "You have done well today," Soraya said. "The elders will review your performance, but I can tell you have learned much. You are beginning to understand our culture and your role in it." Elias laughed softly, despite his exhaustion. "I think I'm starting to understand you too, even if I don't always get it right." Soraya tilted her head, a small, amused smile on her lips. "That is part of learning. Mistakes are acceptable as long as we reflect on them and grow." They returned to the Elder Hall, where Elias was offered a simple meal of glowing fruits and nutrient-rich paste. He ate quietly, thinking about the day. He had expected the Unity trials to be difficult, but he had never imagined they would teach him so much. Not just about the Aolari, but about himself. He realized something important. Humans often relied on strength, speed, or technology to solve problems. But here on Althera, he had to rely on patience, observation, and cooperation. And in doing so, he felt a new kind of pride. Humans were adaptable. Humans could learn. Humans could understand even the most alien customs, and in the process, earn respect. When the meal was finished, Soraya led him to his resting mat. "Rest now. Tomorrow, the final trial will begin. It will test not only your skills, but your spirit. Be prepared. Elias nodded, lying down with his eyes to the glowing ceiling. He thought about the lake, the bath, the sacred law, and the lessons of the day. The trials had started as a punishment, or so he had thought, but now he understood that they were an opportunity to prove himself, to grow, and perhaps to create a bond built on respect rather than obligation. As he drifted into sleep, he felt a sense of determination he had never felt before. The Unity trials were challenging, yes, but he was ready. He would face the final test, not just as a human intruder, but as a student, a learner, and perhaps as a worthy partner in the truest sense. The stars outside shone brightly, reflecting the promise of tomorrow. And Elias knew that whatever happened next, he would meet it with courage, curiosity, and the best of human spirit. The morning sun rose gently over Elder Hall, painting the crystal towers with soft gold and pink. Elias stretched, feeling the soreness from the previous day's trials. Despite the aches, a strange excitement pulsed through him. Today was the final trial, the culmination of everything he had learned. The air itself seemed alive, humming with the energy of the forest and the elders' anticipation. Soraya was waiting outside, standing near the edge of the crystal gardens. She looked calm, as if she had always known what the outcome would be. Elias approached, trying to match her composed demeanor. "The final trial," she said softly, "is about spirit and choice. Not just your ability to work with me or to understand our customs, but to prove the strength of your character, and to see if a bond can form of its own will, not just because law demands it." Elias swallowed. I understand. I'll do my best." Soraya gave him a small nod. "That is all we ask." The elders gathered around, their forms glowing softly, watching with quiet authority. They led Elias and Soraya to a vast open field, surrounded by shimmering energy barriers. Within the field floated 7 crystal pillars, each radiating light in different colors. "You must reach the center," the tallest elder explained. "But only by completing the 7 challenges of spirit can the path open. Each challenge will test courage, wisdom, compassion, patience, and honesty. Only together can you succeed." Elias glanced at Soraya. "Together, right?" "Yes," she said. "Remember everything you have learned. Cooperation, observation, trust. You must not act alone." The first challenge appeared immediately. A pit of swirling energy that seemed bottomless. A bridge of glowing stones emerged. But the stones shifted and sank under weight. "You must step carefully," Soraya warned. "We move in sync. One wrong step, and the path resets." Elias nodded, focusing. He watched Soraya's movements closely, timing his steps with hers. Step by step, they crossed, moving slowly and deliberately. He felt a thrill of accomplishment as they reached solid ground on the other side. "Good," Soraya said, smiling faintly. "Challenge 1 complete." The second challenge was the mirror of truth. A wall of water rose before them, reflecting their deepest fears and insecurities. Elias saw himself failing the trials, being rejected by the Aelari, trapped on this alien planet forever. Soraya saw herself unable to protect her people, failing in her duties. "You must face your fears," Soraya said gently. "Do not hide from them. Only by acknowledging them can you pass." Elias took a deep breath and stepped forward. I am human. I may be weak. I may make mistakes, but I will try. I will learn. I will do what is right." The mirror shimmered and rippled. Soraya followed, speaking her own truths aloud. Together they acknowledged fears, weaknesses, and doubts. Slowly, the mirror dissolved into mist, revealing a clear path forward. "You see," Soraya said, "truth makes us stronger, not weaker." The third challenge tested compassion. They entered a grove where small, fragile creatures were trapped beneath heavy vines. Elias instinctively reached out to lift them, but some vines resisted. Soraya showed him a technique using energy gestures, guiding the creatures to freedom without harm. "Compassion is not just feeling," she explained. "It is action. Protect, guide, heal, without expectation." Elias felt a surge of admiration. "I think I'm beginning to understand your people, and you." Soraya looked at him, her expression unreadable, then nodded. The fourth challenge tested patience. A massive, glowing tree blocked their path, its branches twisting and shifting. To pass, they had to follow a precise pattern, moving with the rhythm of the energy pulses. Elias tried to force his way through, but the branches shifted, blocking him. "Stop," Soraya said calmly. "Watch the tree. Listen. Move with it, not against it." Elias slowed, observing carefully. Step by step, mirroring Soraya's movements, they made it past the tree. He realized the lesson was simple yet profound. Rushing led to failure. Patience led to success. The fifth challenge tested wisdom. They faced a puzzle of symbols floating in mid-air, each representing a principle of Aelari culture. The symbols shifted constantly, and only by recognizing patterns and connections could they open the gate forward. Elias hesitated, unsure how to proceed. "I don't understand these symbols," he admitted. Soraya smiled. "You do not need to understand them as we do. Use logic, observation, and your own experience. See what connects to what." Elias studied the symbols, recalling lessons from the previous trials. Slowly, he began to recognize patterns, how some symbols echoed human concepts of balance, cooperation, and integrity. Step by step, he guided Soraya, and together, they unlocked the gate. The sixth challenge tested courage. A shadowy, swirling vortex appeared, showing visions of failure, danger, and loss. Elias felt panic rising. I can't do this," he whispered. Soraya took his hand. "You are not alone. Courage is not the absence of fear, Elias. It is moving forward despite it." He drew a deep breath and stepped into the vortex with her. The visions swirled violently, but he held Soraya's hand, focusing on trust and unity. Slowly, the vortex calmed, and they emerged into a clear, bright space. The seventh and final challenge tested honesty of heart. A crystal pedestal appeared with two glowing stones, one representing law and obligation, the other representing choice and will. "You must choose," Soraya said softly. "Do you follow the law because it is demanded, or do you act because you choose it freely?" Elias looked at the stones, thinking about everything he had experienced. The trials, the lessons, the bond forming between him and Soraya. He realized the truth. He had learned respect, trust, and cooperation, but a bond could only last if it was chosen. He took a deep breath and reached for the stone of choice. Soraya smiled faintly and placed her hand over his, choosing the same. The pedestal glowed brilliantly, filling the field with radiant light. The elders appeared, nodding in approval. "The final trial is complete," the tallest one said. "You have proven your courage, wisdom, compassion, patience, and honesty. Most importantly, you have shown that bonds are strongest when chosen, not forced." Elias looked at Soraya. "Does this mean we are free to decide?" "Yes," she said. "The Unity Pact can exist only by will. No law can force connection where there is none." Elias smiled, a wave of relief and gratitude washing over him. "Then, I choose to stay friends, to learn more, and, if it happens naturally, I would like to see where it goes." Soraya's smile widened, a rare warmth shining in her silver eyes. "I choose the same. That is the truest bond of all. The field around them shimmered and faded, leaving the stars above Elder Hall glowing softly. Elias felt a sense of pride, not in completing the trials, but in understanding something far greater. Humanity's strength lay not just in technology, strength, or intellect, but in adaptability, courage, and the willingness to respect others. The elders nodded to them. "Your journey has just begun," the tallest said. "You are free to explore Althera and your place within it. Remember the lessons of the trials. Teach others the meaning of unity and choice." Elias turned to Soraya. I think we make a good team." Soraya laughed softly, a sound like wind through silver leaves. "Yes, I think we do. Humans are stronger than I imagined." Elias grinned. "And aliens are wiser than I ever expected." Together, they walked back to Elder Hall, under the glowing canopy of trees and crystal towers, ready to explore the planet and learn from one another. The sacred law that had begun as a frightening obligation had transformed into an opportunity for friendship, understanding, and mutual respect. And in that moment, Elias realized something profound. Humans could face the unknown, adapt, and turn even the most awkward misunderstandings into bridges of trust and unity. The stars above Althera twinkled like countless eyes watching, and Elias felt a thrill of hope and adventure. Tomorrow and all the days after were full of possibilities, and this time he was ready for them.